All right, welcome to our second semifinal of the tournament. Austin McLean on the left and me, Jarrod Ellenberger, on the right. It's the battle of the commentators here in the semifinals.
Yep. I took the loss in the second round to Jarrod, and so he gave me that first loss of the tournament. Felt bad, but here we are. We're
Yep,
back battling that top four. I somehow was able to sneak in, losing to two of the top seeds.
we had a pretty vicious game in that round, coming down to a last-minute sweeper off the top for me. Not just sweeper, but one-sided sweeper, wiping Austin. I think you had four permanents, four creatures in play
Yeah, beefy creatures.
against one from me, and they all got sent on a quick exile ride and a 3-2 uh, started beating in to finish the game off there.
Yep, I had nothing else after that, so just drawing the land following. So yeah, Jarrod got me good in that first round. So let's see if I can make some sort of comeback here. But ley line of, the guild pack coming down, beginning of the opening hand.
A great start for it. That's the scary start for me. I don't want to see that card anywhere near the battlefield in combination with the Scion. Gives me nightmares.
Jarrod's starting off hot though with that Pyromancer coming off on turn two. So great turn two. We've got four creatures on turn two. So starting off hot.
Yeah, the season pyromancer discarding two ignoble hierarchs. It was an interesting question for me initially to lead on the birds or the ignoble. I ended up choosing to lead on the birds just in case there was a bolt or something. The ignoble could stick around a little bit longer, but drawing the second one on that turn meant it was time to pitch those and hopefully draw a land to be able to move into some higher converted mana cost spells.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab the Endotha Trio. I'm just trying to thin this deck out a little bit. I'm not trying to draw any additional land.
This matchup has a curious question to it, and we kind of discussed this after this match. But who should be the beatdown in this one? It's an interesting question to me. My deck can go a lot wider than yours, but they're all small creature, whereas yours has this sort of inevitability with the combination of that Scion and the ley line. So I think I need to be focused on the beatdown there. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so unless the Scion comes, if you control the Scion, I think that's the biggest piece of it. I struggled, and here it is. The MVP of the matchup definitely is this Grist. So he comes down, he's able to take out any of my creatures, no matter how big they are. So
Definitely a great resource from Modern Horizons 2 to any collected company deck. Having the ability to collected company, or in this case, hard cast a removal spell for your creatures, specifically big creatures. I mean, there are a couple of creatures that do damage when they enter the battlefield, but having that unconditional removal is something that was missing prior to
yep, that card
Modern
scares
Horizons
me.
2.
So I'm just gonna flage it and get it out of here. And
Nothing wrong with that. That's a nice clean answer for it. Just continuing to one for one there before I get a chance to start milling over some blood gas and creating some insect tokens. So I find my second basic forest there and two bone crusher giants as my only options, but hey, I'm not complaining on that front. That's an additional 8 power coming onto the battlefield there.
yeah, and every time I try to target him, I'm getting a little bit of a burn. So having to read that. Let's kind of see where I go with this one. So my thought is I have to get that 8 power off the field. I can deal with the three attack on the other side, but what am I gonna do about these bone crushers? A lot of thinking going on.
For sure. I don't know what resources you have in your hand here, but I see all my resources moving around as quickly as they can in my hand with a nervous habit of just throwing cards back and forth. Think I
Yep.
saw a tribal flames hanging out in your hand there. That might be making an appearance.
Yep. So I think I do go with the tribal flames here and take out at least one of these. A lot of decision making to go though. So
And this is the time to do it in the semifinals. Not a timed match. I think we're playing plenty fast enough that you don't want to make the wrong decision at this stage. And I mean, there's also something to be said for the fatigue that comes into play after. I think we're going on 8-ish hours of Magic here. Um, only only 6 rounds at this stage, but still just a long day of Magic. You have to make sure you have the energy to make those kind of decisions. And the bird takes is taken down there by the bowmasters, and tribal flames coming in, dealing 5 to that bone crusher and 2 to Austin.
Yeah, so I think I was in my mind saying take you off of your swamp.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah,
definitely.
so I could probably try to keep you off of grist or any additional cocos or anything like that. So I was like, let me get some blockers out here, which I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah, I had to do it then. So I had to do it to keep you from doing anything on your turn.
Yep, and I do see a grist stranded in my hand at this point, so you've successfully taken me off of those colors. It looks like my hand is an ignoble, a seasoned pyromancer, and a grist. Um, And there may have been a mistake on my part with this attack without utilizing that goblin bombardment to deal with either of these creatures. But the blocks that you're considering here, maybe I could have forced through a little bit more damage by flinging ahead of time. It's not, still not entirely clear to me. I guess getting them out of the way to get that bone crusher through would gain me at least 1 point of damage.
Yeah, I think I take the two here. I don't know. I just wanted to get rid of that. And my thought process is if you fling that, then my bowmaster will live and you'd be more willing to fling your token as opposed to your pyromancer, obviously.
Yeah, but I think that trade overall, I don't think it was incredibly advantageous for either of us, but I'm happy enough with the result of it as 2 of my creatures stick around and you're under the abyss for the moment.
And I'm just kind of flooding out here. I've got one Ragavan in hand and another land, so I am flooding a little bit with nothing to show for it.
I do believe there's a Flage in your graveyard, though. I'm anticipating that coming back here shortly, and with you being at 5 mana, perhaps a Ragavan alongside it.
Yep, so I think that is where I go here. I think with the Flage, uh, ping off your Bone Crusher Giant is the thought in the head.
Yeah. Impressive too that the ley line allows you to keep those fetch lands around until you decide that you need them in your graveyard to fuel the flage, and then you get to um, manage your life total in that fashion. You pay the life only when you know you can get it back. You don't have to pay it ahead of time. And I'm gonna fling that Bone Crusher Giant at Austin to counter the Lightning Helix ability, rather than allow him to gain this 3 life here.
Smart play. I forgot about that. So,
It's
rookie mistake.
one of those things that you can't play around, unfortunately, unless you have the ability to destroy that goblin bombardment.
Yep, so Jared finds his grist mana, so he does get his swamp back. Part
And
of me wants to have chosen to get rid of the ignoble hierarch and then just blocked um, the bone crusher, but
hindsight being 2020, I did immediately draw that verdant there. So I think
wouldn't have
maybe
made a difference.
yeah, wouldn't have made a difference. And I think getting the 4-3 off the battlefield might have just been um, enough upside. You'd be taking another 4 last turn, be down to 2, um, if things had gone the other way.
And now I'm stuck dashing Ragavan. So I do try to dash at the grist, try to get it off the battlefield, not let it get out of control. He does fling at me, takes it out, play my last land.
That's an interesting decision point for me there. Do I fight to keep Grist around or keep the 2 points of damage on the battlefield? And ultimately, I decided to fling and just go get a red source with this fetch so that if I find a land or a spell, I'm in pretty good shape because I can always use the exile ability on Seasoned Pyromancer to put 2 more tokens into play and get back to work on that front, even if I do draw a land here, which I believe I had a Seasoned Pyromancer in hand
Yeah, I believe you.
and I drew an overgrown tomb.
believe you slammed that baby down on me
Yeah,
and fling me out. So
got to do the grist plus first in case you hit the bloodghast and get in there for an additional two. And then I debated that overgrown tomb for a moment for some reason, but free cards are better than no cards, so
yep, I got nothing. I'm gonna go kind of just search up.
just try to improve your draws a little bit, get an extra land out of the deck.
Yep, I don't know what I'm drawing here. Maybe a Scion, but
Maybe a lightning helix.
yeah, the Q Jim Davis soundboard, one of the favorites of all time.
Cannot go wrong with a lightning helix, that's for sure.
And if I remember correctly, so I go get Thundering Falls. I'm gonna try to surveil a little bit, a little extra peeky peek at what's going on, but
For sure.
I don't think it did me any good. I think it was a ley line and a ley line.
Yeah.
So,
Powerful card, but not what you want to see in that situation.
yep. So let's head on to the sideboard.
Yeah, let's take a look at those. My sideboard, I've got two copies of Choke, two Endurance, an Engineered Explosives, two Extinction Event, a Haywire Mite, a Phyrexian Revoker, a Plague Engineer, a Reclamation Sage, two Riveteer's Charm, a Serulf Realm Eater, and a Soulless Jailer.
Yeah. So do you want to kind of break down this Serolf? It's not a very
Yeah, the Serolf's a weird one for sure. I'm still not sure if it's good or not. Every time I play it, people are afraid enough that they kill it, so it's good in that respect. It's clearly a bolt dismember magnet, but it has the potential whenever a permanent leaves the opponent's side of the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then on your upkeep, you can remove all of the +1/+1 counters from it, and if you do, exile all permanents with that value or less from the battlefield, leaving only it standing on the battlefield. So, really, it was a hedge against hoping we could get maybe one or two counters on it against the porous energy decks to be able to wipe away all their tokens in one foul swoop there. Um, but yeah, at no point in the tournament did it pan out this way. It got up to a 4/4 at one point in a single pass of the turn, and then it got dismembered before I had an opportunity to use it. So it seems to inspire some fear.
Yeah, so I'm on my side too, you know, so and I was so tired at this point and I think somebody was talking to me, so I had my sideboard switches face up that whole time. Rookie mistake once again. We're about 6+ hours into playing.
For whatever it's worth, I didn't even notice. I think I was fried as well.
Yeah, so I brought in the Brotherhood's End and I'm bringing in Pyroclasm to try to keep you smaller and see if I can keep you off of anything with all those creatures going wide.
Yep.
I think that was realistically my only play against you.
Yep. On my side, I'm bringing in the extinction events, the Riveteer's Charm, the Serolf, um, I think I was debating the Soulless Jailer a lot of the time, and considering the engineered explosives as well. A lot of the time, the easy cuts for this deck looks like I was bringing a Haywire Mite, maybe a little worried about those ley lines in addition. The easy cuts for this deck are the Blood Ghasts. They combo well with the deck, but they aren't key to the engine. Um, when you need that extra bit of interaction, they're an easy cut. And when you're cutting those, it's easy enough to cut a single season Pyromancer. And given the number of non creature spells I was bringing in, I believe I cut a collected company as well.
Yeah, I think I went down on my frogs, and then I think I went down on one stubborn denial or something around there. I think I went down two frogs or and one stubborn denial or three frogs and actually just cut frog out completely, if I remember correctly, just because grist, I'm probably not getting in. You're going so wide. So I think I went with that instead.
There's a little bit of tension between the frog and the flage there as well. If you are trying to fly over a bunch of tokens to uh, to keep enough fuel in your graveyard for both of those there. So here we are, checking our hands for game two. My hand, I think I see only one land currently.
Yeah, and mine was a little bit, it's not your average aggressive aggro beats that we see from Domain Zoo with the big creatures, a little bit more reserve small to the ground. I think I have got an Orcish Bowmaster and a Ragavan, but I say, we're gonna go for it. Let's try to get aggressive in this sense and get some of your top stuff off the top.
And I will say, the Ragavans caught me off guard here considerably. I was expecting those to come out with all my 1/1s. I did notice that there was a second land at least in that hand, a collected company, and a neat extinction event. So more of my top end there. With no turn one mana creature and just getting attacked by a Ragavan here with no real ability to interact. I do go ahead and fetch before the Ragavan. I considered that a little bit before doing so. I just only have one of some of the shock lands, and I don't want to lose it to that Ragavan. So, although it makes your hits a little bit better, I did not want to screw myself on mana there.
Which that was a great one. The best hit for me at that point, and you see my custom treasure token down there. So shout out to Zach.
Yes, for sure. And that would have been a scary one to play as well. That Temple Garden coming in tapped before combat, maybe something that you would have reconsidered. And
Yeah, 1000%. Definitely should have waited. Would have been nice to actually just play the grist and utilize your resource.
well, luckily enough, it seems like you're going to get a second opportunity to steal another card from me as I fetch in response to this Ragavan attack yet again. Going to be searching, I'm guessing, a stomping ground here. Yep, looks like it. And taking another two as the beats continue to come my way.
Yep, I'm kind of hanging out, just looking whatever resource that you do put on the battlefield. I just want to try to get out of there. So hoping you play something, which if I remember correctly, I want to say that this is where a Seraph came down in one of these games. So we actually got to see the card, not to its maximum potential, but
Yeah, I don't recall quite well enough. We'll have to see how it plays out. Looks like a seasoned Pyromancer was the draw, and a Copperline Gorge for our third land. And
the Woe Strider coming.
Whoa, Strider.
The
That's yeah.
Woe Strider coming, baby.
Yep, my thinking there. Two bodies for one, and like we mentioned, I have some of my best cards in hand. I wanted two bodies for one for blocking Ragavan, and the potential scry to find my fourth land for that collected company. And we'll see if that pans out here. We are still in my end step, I believe. Here is that correct?
Yep. So I think I'm gonna try to get rid of these. I want to keep hitting the Ragavan hits and exiling as much as I can. That Woe Strider does have some pretty sweet abilities too, so trying to get rid of everything.
Yeah, it's not lining up well against this handful of lightning bolts that I see over on the left side of the screen, as you're considering how exactly to spend your mana.
Yeah, and I think I missed my land drop, so I'm actually relying a lot on these tokens, the treasure tokens, unfortunately.
I sack my Woe Strider to itself in response to that lightning bolt, attempting to find that fourth land and not expecting to lose this token. I was expecting to be able to block this Ragavan with that token, and the Orcish Bowmaster's catching me off guard on that front.
So leyline binding off the top, but unfortunately still a little bit stranded on the mana piece. I didn't feel like I was in a terrible position, but I definitely wanted to find at least a third land here.
For sure. Ragavan doing a great Birds of Paradise impression for you for the moment and taking my fourth land away off the top here.
Yeah, and I had that ley line of the Guild Pact in hand. It was obviously a pretty dead card, so debated playing it and then thought it's not really worth it at this point. Nothing is benefiting from it.
Another 4 drop in the second extinction event enters my hand. And I do have a Seasoned Pyromancer and a Riveteer's Charm as playable spells. The Seasoned Pyromancer going to essentially kill itself right off if I play it into the face of this Orcish Bowmaster, and also have to discard some of the best cards in my deck if I go with that approach. So it looks like I had an Imperial Recruiter to try to stave off the bleeding as I attempt to find a fourth land here. Interestingly enough, I used to play a Dryad Arbor in this deck that I could have gone to get if I hadn't removed it prior to this tournament. So instead, I decide trying to plan for the future here. Nothing that I can get is going to help me immediately. So I'm considering between an ignoble hierarch and a scavenging ooze, thinking scavenging ooze might be able to help me gain some life back here in the future if I do manage to stabilize to survive through a flage later in the game and just continue to hope for that fourth land off the top of the deck.
Yeah, and I think this is where I actually now believe that I'm going to take the victory. So he's tapped out. Him not having that next land drop. We switched out the die to help with the viewers. You know, that was I'm so used to use my own die.
We
Three.
remember 3/4 of the way
Yeah,
through.
I called myself out for it. So uh, and then now I picked up that ley line. I think I'm in the clear with Bolt in hand, Tribal Flames, and the ley line. So being able to clear everything and get in here. So I believe I am going to utilize this 2 mana to go ahead and ley line that Imperial Recruiter, get the blocker out of the way. Doing math. Math is hard. It's been a long day. Unfortunately, I have to utilize that 3rd mana with the treasure.
And even I'm double checking the math. It's a little confusing with just the two lands in play, but they do add up quickly and reduce the cost of that. A bolt to the dome.
Yep, so costing 3 less, so I do get to cast it for 3. Yep, bolt up top, take the 7. Do have Tribal Flames in hand, which that gives me the go ahead for to go get that. Get to 5.
The instant speed play from this domain zoo deck was not something that I was anticipating at all, and you just wrecked me on both of those last two end steps, and got in for 4 on each of those turns.
Yep, so I'm gonna get the Thundering Falls just in case anything goes wrong. Give myself at least the 4th color here, which probably could have went and got um, the Indatha, but actually Indatha would have done the same thing.
And a forceful tribal flames will send all my permanents back to my hand.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. We're in.
All right, as we move into game three, one of the considerations that one of the items that I was caught off guard by in that first sideboarded game was the presence of the Ragavons still being in the deck. So I immediately reached back for my sideboard to grab the Bone Crusher Giants that came into play for game one and had a potential answer to the Ragavons for game three here. Looks like I took out a Riveteer's Charm um, to make room for that Bone Crusher Giant.
I think I realistically looked at my sideboard, played around with a few things, and ultimately decided not to change anything.
Yep. Resubmitted 60. It was perfect as it was.
I don't think there was anything I was doing any better. I don't think there's not much in there that I think I played around with the doorkeeper throw, but there really wasn't much that I was doing.
Yeah. So we'll find ourselves in the same position we did just a moment ago as we were entering the match, equals with one deciding game to go. So we'll start this off, tap some knuckles, and start slinging some spells after a long bout of shuffle.
Most important part of the game,
Yeah.
the shuffle. All right, we're ready to go. We're checking and we're going.
You can't trust Austin. You got to cut
No,
him
yeah,
every
he
time.
cheats. Dude sucks. He almost got kicked out of this tournament.
You almost got kicked out of
Yeah,
your own tournament?
we almost kicked
House
that guy out.
rules.
We almost
He
kicked
kicked
that guy out
himself
of here.
out. Yeah.
So, all
Yeah.
right, we're starting with a ley line.
Ley
So,
line coming into play. I saw the evil scion peeking out of your hand as
yeah, I
well.
did have it. So, here I think I try to take you off of that again, if I remember correctly. But I want to say I go for bolt the bird style.
Yeah, the deck is a little bit fragile on its mana situation. I cut down on a couple of sources to try to give myself some more resiliency against the onslaught of one-drop creatures. I added a couple of Courser of Kruphix as good blockers against Boros Energy, and hopefully also relieving the mana situation. But uh, as we as we see there, whenever the ignoble or birds bites the dust, things slow down a little bit as I just play a goblin bombardment. And our two cornerstone enchantments facing off against each other is it looks like you missed your second land drop here.
Yeah, I'm
I don't recall that happening.
trying to think of what is going on. Um,
The removal continues to flow.
I think I think you're right. I think I did miss that. I got stuck on that one land, and I think I had multiple removal spells that I was keeping around.
So I sack the goat in response to the lightning bolt here. More than likely hunting for a fourth mana and sack the Woe Strider to itself also in response.
He's peeking, he's cheating, but
Yep.
we'll see. I think second mana comes this turn. Yep. And we're live.
And
We've got a Scion.
there's the boy right there. I have the Grist in hand. If that ley line weren't in play, I would have some possibility of getting into this by playing a creature and then a Grist. So really my only outs at this stage are the extinction events and the Riveteer's Charm to make you sacrifice. And I think we saw during sideboarding that one of those came out. So just three outs in the deck at this stage, or trying to race you, but that's going to be difficult to do with a hexproof lifelink
And
before.
yeah,
And a second one.
Jen.
I was already conceding at that point. This is the first time I realized that that even came down.
Yeah, yeah. So just glad to get there. Got lucky, got those lands off the top, and
And
then went. So
and Austin's on to the finals.